In the book of Judges, there's a repeated cycle that the Israelites go through. They start rebelling against God, and then bad things happen. Other peoples come in and take them over and oppress them. Then they cry out to God, and God sends them a judge who rescues them from their enemies. And things are generally good the rest of that judge's life. And then after that judge dies, they revert back to rebelling against God again, and it goes over and over and over again. I wouldn't call it a prophecy per se, but the statement at the end of Joshua, which is repeated at the beginning of Judges, that they continued to serve God all the days of Joshua and the elders who survived him, implies that after that, they didn't. The period of the Judges is a time where it's noted that there was no king in Israel and everyone just did what was right in his own eyes. As the Israelites go through this cycle of sinning, being punished, crying out to God, and being saved, a lot of interesting things happen. I'll leave it to you to read them for yourselves, but some highlights include Ehud and Eglon, the very large king. The first female judge, Deborah, gives a prophecy to Barak, that because he wanted her to go with him to battle, his enemy Sisera would be done in by a woman and not by himself. That's where Jael nails Sisera's head into the ground. There's prophecies to Gideon that God would save Israel through him. God makes Gideon narrow down his men from 32,000 to 300. With 32,000 men, they could easily think they earned the victory themselves, whereas with 300 men, there would be no doubt that their victory was a miracle. Another incident involving a woman was with Gideon's son Abimelech, who had a woman drop a millstone on him, and he knew he was going to die. He had a guy near come and kill him because he didn't want it to be said that a woman killed him. Well, to this day, people are saying that a woman dropped a millstone on him, so it didn't seem like it ended up much better for his pride. Samson's also an interesting story, the prophecy to his parents in Judges 13. And another really challenging one relates to Jephthah, who promised that whatever came out to greet him when he got back, if he was victorious in the battle, he would offer up as a burnt offering, and it was his only child, his daughter. And there's debate as to whether Jephthah actually sacrificed her as a burnt offering or whether that just meant she was dedicated to the temple. Either way, it's similar to what happened with the Gibeonites, where if people made a foolish vow, they were stuck with it. There's also a really horrible story about a Levite who had a concubine who was murdered, and he chopped her in pieces and sent the parts of her body throughout the land. It's important to remember when we read stories like that the Bible tells it to us because it's what happened. It's not saying this was a good thing. The last two judges are Eli and Samuel, and they are discussed in the book of 1 Samuel, not in the book of Judges. Samuel comes to Eli as a young boy, dedicated by his mother to the tabernacle service. And so he's essentially raised by Eli. Eli and his sons were priests. His sons were exceedingly wicked, and Eli is judged by God for not rebuking them. And God pronounced judgment on Eli and his sons through Samuel. Samuel was at first afraid to tell Eli what God had told him, but Eli said, "No, tell me whatever it is." And so Samuel did, and Eli accepted God's judgment. So Samuel becomes the last judge, and it's when Samuel is the judge that the Israelites demand a king because they want to be like the other nations around them. And we'll get into that in the next prophecy video.